Why is it that only other ethnicities want unity with black Americans when shit hits the fan with white Americans and they aren't going to save them like they thought they were? Because it's honestly infuriating and insulting for Somalis to have the nerve to want to talk unity now when y'all have been some of the most divisive people, period. And that's the thing when everyone comes over here. You come over here, you follow this white man rhetoric, and you think you're better than black Americans. You're like, oh, or at least we're not them. Oh, and you tell your kids, avoid them. Oh, you're better than them. All of that. You guys have done this rhetoric for how long? And now shit is finally hitting the fan with y'all. And that's the thing. We have always been overextending ourselves trying to do unity with everyone when no one wanted to do unity with us. And now the only reason people want unity is because people are being targeted by ICE. And we can't be targeted by ICE because we are citizens. So for you people that want unity with black people, you need to want this unity before shit hits the fan, because we're at the point right now where we're only worrying about ourselves. If other people want to get involved and try and help, you're going to have to put in more and more effort to prove to us that you actually care, because last year everyone showed themselves.
Do people always have misplaced anger when it comes to black Americans? So I'm talking about how I see a lot of Somali people mad with black Americans at their response to what is currently happening. But at the same time, I don't see those same people making videos about the white woman that called child the N word at Cinnabon and said that she was openly racist. A lot of black Americans have still had solidarity with them during this situation, but some of us just do not care. But you cannot be mad at black Americans for not getting into your fights when that's not our fight to even get in. The same group of people who use microaggressions when speaking about black Americans, like they are exempt from something, and now they are actually seeing the treatment that black Americans have been talking about for decades, but they never wanted to believe it. They always thought it was our issue as to why we were being treated the way that we were being treated. I don't like diaspora wars. I feel like a person who is racist is going to treat all of us the same. If you are not of a certain ethnicity, of a certain race, they are not going to like you regardless. But for some reason, certain racial groups think that they are better than black Americans, and they think that any type of treatment that black Americans get is because of how they act. When no, they're racist. They don't like you either.
I'm trying to see if I'm hearing this right and correctly. The Somalians was stealing money from the U.S. government, right, through welfare, right? And now Trump and them is like basically crucifying them because they found out that a lot of the Somalians was stealing that welfare money and sending it to terrorist groups in these countries, right? Now the Somalians is like, black Americans, we need y'all help. And the black Americans is like, who the fuck help y'all need? Now the Somalians is mad as shit because the black Americans is like, who the fuck help y'all need? And I'm sorry, as an African, a first gen West African, please y'all Somalian people, y'all leave those people alone. Y'all leave those people alone. Somalians be tight knit with their own people down to the point that, like, in the African community, if you see Somalians, Eritreans, or Ethiopians around, I'm telling you right now, they're not near their own kind. Their own kind do not fuck with them because they're not like their kind. Like, I don't know, y'all be very quiet about the crucifixion of your own kind liking other people. Y'all act like Jews. I swear to God. Can y'all please leave our black American people alone, please? Asking people for what? Y'all taking money, y'all sending money to the terrorist people down there. People need to understand that America is the only place where we can all come together and still be segregated. One man for themselves, y'all better go help your own self out with your own community.
So Somalians are trying to drag black Americans into their fight. Check this out.
But Trump based his order on a report whose author has made it clear that his goal is to denationalize and deport as many Somali Americans as possible. This is not about crime. It's not about safety. This is about purging people like me from this country. Minnesota has always been a welcoming place for people fleeing a home country that is blasted by war, poverty, and hunger. Europeans in the 19th and 20th century, black Americans from the South, Hmong.
That was a call for allyship, and they threw the race card out there. We're all black. What happened to I'm not black, I'm Somalian? And what happened to the call to allyship when y'all was scamming Minnesota out of hundreds of millions of dollars? They only pull out the race card when it's beneficial to them, because before this, they'll tell you, you're jealous because Somalians are driving Priuses. And there's no allyship when they taking advantage of all these government assistance programs. HUD, public housing, they're not going to let you in their building that they're in. And these are the same people that will tell you, if you black American Somalians will say, hey, my people came over here in planes and your people came over here in shackles and chains. Keep that same energy. I respect that. Since me and my peoples came over here in shackle and chains in a ship, I'm porting my ship right here. This is where I'm going to port my ship. Don't use black as a race card. Don't use black when it's beneficial. Keep that same energy. You not black, you Somalians. You not black, you Nigerians. Keep that same energy. Because when it's time to benefit off these government programs, like housing, all that stuff, they lock other people out. They don't care about nobody else but their own people. So why you yelling allyship now?
And now I'm understanding, and you're going to look at, I hear they ripped off Somalians. Ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Okay? Somebody say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care.
So when the whole issue was going on, when there was a government shutdown based on all of the EBT cards being distributed and the cutback on the welfare system, most people accuse Black America as being the #1 group of people who obtain the government welfare. Well, we were telling you all that the percentage of Black Americans on public assistance is much lower than people think. And why are we always the face of public assistance? We told you that the majority of people on public assistance in America are white people and immigrants. 80%, 80+% of Somalian immigrants obtain government assistance. We're talking Section 8, EBT cards, and whatever cash benefits that they get once they are on the assistance.
One of the things that I was told to do is go find a discounted housing Section 8, which I didn't know what actually it was, and sign up for all the other community benefits within the government or the state. And my response was, I'm actually here to work and build, basic and become part of the American fabric, which is
Abdi, I'm
pretty much what I've been
incredibly
working on for a
fascinated by
while.
what you're trying to say, so much so that I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to clarify. So when you felt that pressure and you were told to go join, public welfare programs once you moved here, where was that pressure coming from? Are you saying it's like cultural, like neighborhood, like neighbors telling you this is what you should do? How were you pushed in that direction?
Well, it was coming from the community that actually thought that was just a way of life, right?
In America. That stat I showed, I'm curious, Abdi, about the percentage of the Somali population on some form of welfare, 80%. And it stays that way. Stays that way over a 10-year period. Does that surprise you?
In some ways, it does not.
Now, what the other problem is that they were not only are they on assistance, they're marrying multiple women. Those multiple women are obtaining the EBT card, the assistance, the Section 8. And they are using the subsidized money for food to fund their restaurants. So basically, they're getting free money from the government to purchase food, and then they're using that food to put into their restaurants to make money off of.
Oh yeah, the Somalians have it figured out in Columbus. I went to the Walmart on Georgesville to see if I could see people filling their cards or just kind of see what I could see. It's not the way they do it. They've got it figured out way better than that. Every single Somali restaurant has a grocery store right next door or within eyeshot of the restaurant. The specific one I went into today had it attached to the restaurant. And wow, what an adventure that was. Stay tuned for more on that. Anyways, the grocery store and the restaurant were the same building. So they don't have to go to a Walmart or a Sam's Club or a Costco necessarily. They can just order everything they need to their grocery store that's right next to or attached to the restaurant that they also own and never have to fill a single cart. And I guarantee you, if you looked at the records of those grocery stores, they lose tons of money every year, and it's probably used as a tax write-off because those groceries are being funneled into those restaurants, with a daycare center on the opposite side. And that's the common trend you'll see. There's restaurants, grocery stores, and daycare centers, and also home health care businesses. I can't forget the home health care businesses. Nakia was absolutely right. And the reason for the daycare centers I found out while I was at Walmart. 3/4 of the workers I saw working in Walmart, especially the cashiers, were Somali women. You got to figure if you have 2 or 3 wives that you don't have to claim, these women can go work at Walmart full-time for $15 an hour and still qualify for food stamps as long as they have a couple kids, which you can guarantee you they at least have 2 kids. Hell, they average 7. Or same story as working as a home health care aide. They have most definitely figured out the system and how to take advantage of it. And Columbus doesn't break down its numbers like Minnesota, but if anything like the 88% of the Somali community is on social services in Columbus, I can only imagine how deep the fraud is. So I'm changing tactics and going back up Monday, and I have a couple ideas to see if I can't sniff a few.
Now, how you like them apples? Because if that was the Black community doing such a scam or something like that, we'd be every name in the book, okay? Again, like you all thought that, and what they do is put Black Americans as the face of government subsidies, government benefits. But when it all comes down to it, whether it's the population or not, there's more white Americans than there is Black Americans. So therefore, you're still the majority of people obtaining the subsidies. On top of that, the immigrants. Now, we also have a lot of Black Americans that are caping for the immigrant community because they're African. Well, what does that have to do with anything? If you come over to America, well, let me say, Black Americans made a lane for African immigrants to come over to this country because prior to the civil rights movement, the government would not allow any immigrants to come over from Africa. They allowed European countries to allow immigrants over, like the Irish, the Italians, and so forth, the poorer parts of Europe. But it wasn't until the civil rights movement that Martin Luther King, all of our Black leaders pushed to start allowing Black or African immigrants to come over to this country. And what do we get? A smack in the face, because this is what they say about us when they come over here.
Most of the people that we meet, especially African Americans, they don't even know their fathers. They don't even know their fathers. It was all of them, or most of them, were the product of one night stand. One night stand. They will tell you, I don't know my father. Well, who named you? Whose name did you carry? Well, my mother chose his name for me. I don't know. Is that what we want for our ummah? No. كلهم أو معظمهم أبناء الزنا. أبناء الزنا. Why? Because man, he has to give up the seed. And because the marriage will limit them, they will go from one to another to a third. You know, subhanAllah, it's one of the African Americans.
But if it wasn't for the baby mama and the Blacks that had used their blood, sweat, and tears for civil rights and to allow Africans to come to this country, you would not be here siphoning off of the system, okay? Because God forbid any of us do it. The baby mama, the this, that, and the other. God forbid, the majority of our people have used it and gotten off of it. Now, there are people in the community that have generationally kept using it, but they ain't never did nothing like this. Being on top of it, using it to fund their businesses? Are you kidding me? And then getting their so-called community leaders in office just to fight for things in your own community? Like, where they do that at? Who does that? Come on, Black America. Y'all need to wake up and fight for what your own community needs, and quit caping for everybody else, and then talking against your own community and agreeing with people who talk against your community. And then you always say, oh, this is why we can't get along, get nowhere. Well, get with the Black Americans that's doing something, that want to go somewhere, link up with them, because it's always going to be bad apples in every community. So one apple does not kill the whole barrel. So if you know Black people that are educated business owners and that are trying to do things to better the next generation, then link up with them. But don't use that one group of people and use that as a default. Oh, well, I got to go the other way. Well, I got to support this. No, support your own people first and let Africa deal with Africa. And you deal with Black America.